like you said, especially in New York, you think you're getting paid enough, but there are these weird portions. And for anybody that hasn't used it, don't rely on it as your single income. Have a little backup plan or a side hustle. But there are periods in between semesters where you're waiting for those funds to kick back in,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
uh, and nobody told me that. So I was getting ready to expect a paycheck, and rent is due next week, and I didn't get it, and it put me into a little bit of a pickle, because paramedic school is absolutely full time. So much so that it's very difficult to have a job while going through that kind of study. So yeah, so I wanted to start an automotive business, like you mentioned earlier. And realistically, my extent of like knowledge of vehicles isn't so great, but um, I knew how to do brake jobs and oil changes and like simple mechanic stuff like that. But I figured I could offset that little bit of income by doing stuff like that for people that I knew in the area. And I just remember I was like, I want a really patriotic garage, like I want people to pull up and just have like a big flag off to the side and just like feel comfortable in my one car garage. And I remember making a flag. I'll have to dig up the photo later. But it was awful. It was a terrible looking flag, and it was made of just fence posts. And yeah, I only had a sawzall and a drill, and that's probably why the flag looked the way it did. Is because now they take some very special tools and blades to do, but I had made that flag for the wall and ended up getting 8 orders that night from just posting it on the internet, and I wasn't even looking to sell them. So yeah, things took off very quickly, and I started with 6 footers, 6 foot flags, which
Okay.
was
Pretty big,
it's pretty
right?
large. Yeah, and it was basically I had to find a way to ship these. So I'd have to cut the flag in half from the back and then give them a pair of brackets to put the flag together when they got it. And I would build these giant exoskeleton like shipping containers for them, and they were just massive, and they cost $250 to ship, and
Damn.
it wasn't practical. So I had to figure out a way to make a smaller version and even have a couple different sizes. But yeah, I think just in the beginning, trying to face those challenges of going way too large. I don't know. It was a little stressful because like I had never shipped stuff like this before. I've never built stuff like this before. How is it going to survive? Like I remember I was in class and FedEx called me, and they left me a voicemail. And nowadays you can read voicemails without even going into them. And I didn't have a website. I had no business cards. And yeah, it was just, I started taking custom orders like, hey, pitch me ideas. I'll build it for you. I'll figure out a way to build it for you. And it just kind of took off from there because I took the approach of building what the customer wanted rather than just building random stuff that I thought was cool. So yeah, I just remember my initial motto was, if you can dream it, I can build it. And I actually found out later on that Disney has a very similar
Mm.
um, model. I think it's like, if you can dream it or if you can imagine it or something like that. I was like, oh well, I don't want to rip Disney off, even though I thought of it originally without seeing that. But yeah, it just turned into custom orders and people asking me to do weird stuff and build crazy things.